possibly might be, I would say, in the top 10 most iconic games of all time. I would say I would put Pac-Man in that category. I would put probably Tetris in that category. Maybe even Pong. Probably Super Mario Brothers would be in that echelon. But yeah, those are a couple games that I think rank kind of in their own category of an iconic nature. So let's read up a little bit on Pac-Man. So it was released in 1980, on May 22nd, by Namco. It was released initially in North America by Midway, actually. Sorry, I should have mentioned the Namco was when it was released in Japan, and in the United States it was released by Midway, also in 1980, but in October. The developer, Toru Iwatani, which forgive me if I am mispronouncing any names throughout this, who was 24 years old at the time. Originally, it was going to be called Pac-Man in Japan. The name was changed to Pac-Man for the US release to prevent vandals from altering the P to an F, which is kind of probably my favorite fun fact so far of all of the games that I've covered up to this point, because that is such a an attempt at innocence reason to change the name of the game, and I just find that very humorous. It was a first of its kind, as most of these games are first of their kinds in one way or another. Pac-Man was one of the first non-violent video games, standing out in an era that was dominated by space shooters like Space Invaders, that we just covered. The AI personality of the four ghosts, Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde, had a fairly unique quote-unquote AI behavior that made them feel different from each other, and you could actually build strategies around them because they had different behaviors. Skilled players could learn movement patterns to beat the game efficiently, which led to strategy guides and pattern books in the 80s. So I'm going to go ahead and play a quick round, and we'll read a couple more interesting things about the game. So let's do one player, obviously. Okay. Oh, I got the sound is off. Oh, that's okay. And it seems like it's moving faster. Let me see if I can. Let's try that one more time. For some reason the game seems to be speeding up. Obviously making it a little harder. I don't know if it's a combination of me just being bad at this, or if it's just this particular thing is causing it to speed up and mess up. So one of the biggest things that this game did have an impact on was merchandise sales, which was not completely unique, but to the scale that Pac-Man went, I would say was fairly unique. There was over one. Let's go back here. Sorry, I lost my place in my notes here. So massive popularity became one of the most successful arcade games of all time. There was 400,000 cabinets sold. Over $1 billion in quarters by the early 80s had been used on the Pac-Man arcade machines. The merchandise explosion was massive. There was tons and tons of uh, tertiary items sold that had nothing to do with directly with the game, obviously. Toys, lunchboxes, board games, pajamas, even morning cartoons. In 1982, actually had a Saturday morning cartoon based on Pac-Man. It was the first video game with a true mascot, uh, because Mario, even though he shows up a year from now in Donkey Kong, Mario doesn't actually come around until 1982 as a standalone character. Now he is kind of gives a little bit of a preview of Mario in the Donkey Kong game, but Pac-Man actually was one of the very first true mascots to come from a video game. The music also was a huge hit. It actually became number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100, which I found very funny considering the music is quite dated to my taste. So another couple fun facts. The design of Pac-Man was inspired by a pizza missing one slice, which I did not know until I was doing my research on this topic. No end. The game effectively does not have an end. It technically it can go up to 256, but past 256, the game becomes corrupted and is a kill screen. But I think there's very few people, if anybody, who has, I think there's only a few people who have successfully seen that happen. For all intents and purposes, there is no end to the game. It just keeps on going. Pac-Man does hold a Guinness World Record for being the most recognized video game character of all time, which that is pretty much in line with my thinking that it is one of the most iconic games ever. Only a few players have ever achieved a perfect score in this game, of which that perfect score in question is 3,333,360 points by clearing all 255 levels without dying and eating every single point item. So yeah, very few people have ever done that, but it is possible.